It's 2 o'clock. We'll go ahead and begin the meeting. And if you would, please stand and join the mayor as he leads us in the invocation, followed by the pledge by Commissioner Strickland.
Let's bow our heads, please. Look up to heaven. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing you have bestowed upon us, this great community that we call Brunswick, Georgia. It's a great county of Glynn and the state of Georgia. Father, thank you for the things you have done for us. Thank you for letting those winds of Florence blow the other way. And Father, thank you for you being there to help the ones who are in dire need when Florence did come their way. And Father, thank you for us being here to do the blessings and do the things we can for our community. And Father, bless the hands that come before us, and bless the words that we come and the decision that we make. These things we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move over here to the podium. I appreciate very much all of you being here today, particularly our city commission joining us for a joint meeting, and also other interested community leaders. Can y'all hear me? Okay? Yes. Good? Sam? I'm okay? Good. All right. We also have part of our state delegation here today and staff from our congressional offices. I spoke with Senator Ligon about 45 minutes ago. Reverend Ligon, his father, 87 years old, just went through 4 bypasses and is doing absolutely fantastic. And so obviously William is at St. Vincent's with his dad, and I told him that they would be in our prayers. This meeting today is regarding the remediation of contaminants in our community, and the comment period for that ends this Thursday. So I guess time is of the essence. I'm going to all of us are well aware of what's going on here, but let me just begin with just a very welcome, Commissioner, a brief overview of where we are. In 1994, most unlikely of all federal agencies, I think, the NOAA identified toxicity in marine life in Terry Creek and Back River. And it was just such a high priority for our federal government that only 21 years passed before they gave us a report. This 25-page report, which, among other things, was submitted in June of 2015 and included, among other things, go ahead and put that up, because of the magnitude of the contamination, divided the work areas into 3 separate units, OU1, OU2, and OU3. OU is the buzzword for the EPA's operational unit. Obviously today we're talking about OU1, but certainly you can see the size of OU2 and certainly the complexity of OU3. The report also included the science relative to the findings. It also included various remediation alternatives, and the public was invited to comment on that. As you can see here, Matthew's slide, there were 1 through 7 alternatives. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but both the city and the county sent resolutions recommending alternative number 2, which is cleaning it up and taking it away from Glynn County. I will let you guess which alternative Hercules, their lobbyists, their lawyers, and the EPA negotiated for our community. Can y'all see this? Which one do you think they might have chosen? Anybody want to guess?
Least expensive.
The least expensive. And if you think you're really smart by choosing that one, my 9-year-old grandson got that one right too. So that is what they have decided is in the best interest of our community. I assume that they just summarily dismissed the city and county's comments, and obviously they felt like they knew what was best for the citizens of our community more than we did. And basically the theme is cover it up and leave it here. And you know, that sounds like the same song, second verse. And I think at this time it's again appropriate to mention the school board and what our board, experience our board has just had with toxaphene covered up and left here. As you know, the Board of Education was going to build a school on land that they own that was contiguous with the F009 toxaphene site, better known as Nally Mountain. And I think they wisely, the tests were made and the science said that the soil was clean, but I think they wisely made a decision to move that site and spend $1.5 million of our taxpayer money to buy land to build the new school. And I say wisely because, you know, you can do all the science in the world, but one child is diagnosed with leukemia. You can throw all the science in the trash can. Perception rules the day, and I think the board rightfully understood that it wasn't going to be about the amount of legal fees or the number of zeros on the check, but it was going to be about the fact that parents were not going to allow their children to attend that school. And I don't know what a $30 million school with no children is worth, but I doubt very much at all. The EPA report, this 25-page report, included a sentence that was interesting to me that said cancer is the primary health endpoint of concern. That was an interesting word there related to cancer. It also said the science regarding toxaphene as it relates to human health is still evolving. I guess we are supposed to be the experimental lab for the evolving science of toxaphene. I would suggest that the science of cancer, and Peter, I'm way out of my league here, but the science of cancer is also evolving as well. I'm not sure that we found out exactly how you get it and exactly how to cure it. So today, we as a city and county are submitting a resolution to the DOJ, the EPA, and hopefully that, and the Hercules, I guess, and hopefully it will be heard a little louder than the first one. So, Mayor, I'd ask you if you would to read our joint city-county resolution at this time. You want to come up here?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and good evening, everybody. I want to make mention that our Mayor Pro Tem is not here. She had other obligations at the time, and she sent in her sentiments as well. Also, as the chairman stated about we need to have a joint effort and a strong push to let people know that we can't stand for this in our backyard like this. We're worried about our kids and our children, our future as well. So it seems like maybe someone is not taking us seriously enough. So, but I'm here to read this resolution. It says a joint resolution of the City of Brunswick, Georgia, and Glynn County opposing the proposed consent decree for operable Unit 1 of the Terry Creek Superfund site, Dredge Spores area, and calling for the complete removal of all the contamination in the operable Unit 1. Urging the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the U.S. Department of Justice to reconsider the selected remedial actions set forth in the consent decree and to withdraw and or amend the proposed consent decree to require the complete removal of all contamination, and requesting that the members of the United States Congress and the Georgia General Assembly represent the City of Brunswick and Glynn County oppose the remedial actions set forth in the consent decree from operable Unit 1 and urge the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the U.S. Department of Justice to withdraw and or amend the proposed consent decree to require the complete removal of all contamination and for other purposes. whereas US 17 is a primary arterial thoroughfare in Brunswick, Georgia, that connects Jekyll Island and St. Simons to the mainland of Brunswick and Glynn County, and is part of the highway system linking Brunswick to neighboring counties to the north and south. And whereas US 17 is an important component to the economic health of Brunswick and Glynn County. And whereas US 17 has been designated a gateway corridor, and whereas Glynn County and the city of Brunswick are home to a vast ecosystem of saltwater marshes, creeks, and rivers, which generate economic benefit to the area and are considered vital assets to the local community. And whereas Hercules Cherry Creek Outfall Ditch Operable Unit 1 is adjacent to the vital corridor of US 17 and releases contamination into Cherry Creek, a part of the community's fragile ecosystem. And whereas, based on the national priority list and the proposed addition of Cherry Creek to the list, 4 Superfund sites are located in Glynn County, making Glynn County home to the most Superfund sites in a single county in the state of Georgia. And whereas the location of multiple hazardous waste sites located in Glynn County and the city of Brunswick creates a negative perception of the area economic health, while also threatening the promotion of the area's access for boating, fishing, and other recreational activities. And whereas contamination of Operable Unit 1 is detrimental to the revitalization of the US 17 corridor and poses a serious threat to the saltwater ecosystem. And whereas in 2015, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Region 4 outlined several options for the remediation of Operable Unit 1. And whereas in September of 2015, the governing boards of the City of Brunswick and Glynn County respectfully passed resolutions urging the selection of the remedial option that would cause the complete removal of all contamination from the Cherry Creek outfall ditch. Because the City of Brunswick and Glynn County believe that complete remediation is necessary for the redevelopment of the US 17 Gateway Corridor to occur. And whereas on May 16, 2018, the United States Department of Justice lodged a proposed consent decree with the United States District Court for the Southern District of Georgia in a lawsuit entitled United States versus Hercules LLC, Civil Action Number 2.18-CV-00062-LGW-RSB. And whereas the proposed consent decree will require defendant Hercules LLC to implement the interim remedy selected by the U.S. Department Environmental Protection Agency for the outfall known as Operable Unit 1 and the Cherry Creek Dredge Spoil Area, the Hercules outfall site in Brunswick in Glynn County, Georgia. And whereas the City of Brunswick and Glynn County believe the consent decree for the Cherry Creek outfall ditch Operable Unit 1 should be withdrawn and or amended to account for recent changes in the manner of testing and or detecting the toxicity of toxaphene, the contaminant prominently found at the Cherry Creek site. And whereas the City of Brunswick and Glynn County believe the new information related to toxaphene demonstrates the dire need for the complete removal and remediation of all contamination to ensure the prevention of future contamination at the site. And whereas the City of Brunswick and Glynn County do not believe that the proposed consent decree goes far enough to fully remove and remediate the contaminants in Operable Unit 1. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and the Board of Commissioners, acting in the capacity of the governing authority of the City of Brunswick, and by the Glynn County Board of Commissioners, acting in the capacity as the governing authority of Glynn County, that it be known that they oppose the proposed consent decree for the Cherry Creek Operable Unit 1 and call for the consent decree to be withdrawn and or amended to require the complete removal of all contamination in the soil and groundwater of Operational Unit 1. And be it further resolved by the City of Brunswick and Glynn County that the United States Department of Justice and United States Environmental Protection Agency be and is hereby urged to copy of this resolution to reconsider the remedial action set forth in the proposed consent decree and to withdraw and or amend the proposed consent decree to require the complete removal of all contamination in the soil and groundwater of Operational Unit 1. And be it further resolved as the City of Brunswick and Glynn County that the members of the United States Congress and members of the local legislative delegation to the Georgia General Assembly representing the City of Brunswick and Glynn County be and are hereby requested by copy of this resolution to oppose the remediation action set forth in the consent decree and urge the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the United States Department of Justice to support the withdrawal and or amendment of the consent decree to require the complete removal of all contamination in Operational Unit 1. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon adoption. Shall be adopted by the Commission of the City of Brunswick on this 18th day of September and by the Glynn County Board of Commissioners on this day, 18th day of September 2018. It's a lot to read.
You want to get a motion from the city?
Yes. Commissioner, you have heard this resolution, reading this resolution. I'll entertain a motion for adoption.
Motion we approve the resolution as read by the mayor.
Second.
Okay, my properly motion second for the approval of the resolution. Are there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to get a motion from county.
I
Same.
make a motion that we accept the resolution as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion as for the resolution as presented signify by raising your right hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. We actually don't pay the city and county attorneys by the word. I think what this says is clean it up and tote it off. We don't want it left in Glynn County. So, but thank you. Great job there. I think that certainly says it all. Since the EPA and Hercules didn't seem to care much about what the local government thought back when we sent our original resolutions, I've invited some of the other stakeholders in our community for their opinions. And Woody, I think today you're representing the Chamber, the EDA, and the CVB. If you'd just like to say not anything as long as the resolution.
Don't worry, that's why I wrote it down. Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners and City Mayor and City Commissioners, I've come here today representing actually three entities of the Brunswick and Glynn County Development Authority, the Golden Isles CVB and the Brunswick Golden Isles Chamber, and Bill Austin is here representing the board of the Development Authority, and my chairman Jeff Bennett from the Chamber standpoint, and also Scott McQuaid as president and CEO of the CVB. I wanted to let you know that we're three of the shared vision partners, of which y'all, the city and the county and many others in the community, are part of the shared vision for our community and its future. Brunswick Golden Isles Chamber of Commerce, Brunswick and Glynn County Development Authority, and the Golden Isles Convention and Visitors Bureau will officially be submitting in a written joint statement to the U.S. Department of Justice tomorrow in support of the joint resolution by the county and the city calling for the complete removal of the contamination in Operative Unit 1.
Right. Thank you, Woody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. I also have a resolution from the Glynn County Board of Health, and I'm not going to read this whole resolution. It's certainly not as long as the county's, but I'll just read the summary. Furthermore, that the Glynn County Board of Health supports the City of Brunswick and Glynn County in requesting that members of the United States Congress and members of the local legislative delegation to the Georgia General Assembly representing the city of Brunswick and Glynn County strenuously opposed the remedial action set forth in the consent decree and urged the United States EPA and the United States Department of Justice to support the withdrawal and/or amendment of the consent decree to require the complete removal of all contamination in operable Unit 1. So I think that is a very strong statement from our Board of Health. Also, Senator Ligon, as a couple of you weren't here, but his dad underwent 4 bypasses today, in great shape and doing fine. But he couldn't be here, and he sent me this letter last night. And I'll just, again, I'll read the last paragraph. I'm dismayed that the consent decree would fall short of requiring a complete removal and remediation of all the contamination. That is the only way to ensure the long-term viability of the site, our water supply, and our fisheries. I heartily commend you and the Board of Commissioners, as well as the Brunswick Mayor Cornell Harvey and the Commissioners of the City of Brunswick for your proactive efforts to support our environment. It is my hope that the Environmental Protection Agency and the U.S. Department of Justice will heed the wisdom of local officials. So we have that. Also, today we have our part of our local delegation here, Don Hogan, Jeff Jones here. Either one of you guys want to weigh into this at all? Again, I'll give you as much time as I gave Woody.
That's quite an honor. No, you have my support, and mine as well. And we'll do what we can. And
well, Don, I know you've already called a colleague at the EPD.
I spoke with EPD, and they're talking with EPA right now.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to understand that the EPD is only authority is on the west side of 17, is my understanding, and of course this is the EPA and the DOJ and our friends at Hercules on the east side. So thank you both for your support. We appreciate it. We have representatives from Senator Isaacson's office, Sam Tosson, back there. I'm sorry, Senator Perdue's office. I'm sorry. Andrew Blosovich from Senator Isaacson's office, and Emmett Nolan from Congressman Carter's office. They also want to thank 100 Miles Alice for her input. A lot of data. You know, Glynn County can't out-science the EPA. I mean, we just can't do it. You just can't do it. But again, at the end of the day, when you start talking about, you call cancer the end point, then you're talking about perception. And we certainly can have that perception. Also, Daniel Parsley, thank you for all you've done over the years and for your information and input in this. You know, as a community, we've kicked the can down the road for 4 decades. Toxaphene hadn't been produced since 1980. Glynn County deserves to have these contaminants cleaned up and removed from OU1. We also deserve to have a timeline on what we're going to do with OU2 and OU3. They are the elephant in the room. And right now, my understanding is there is no timeline. So we're going to ask our delegation and our congressional delegation to weigh heavily on the applicable parties.
What's been their response? They waved their hands back there, but
I think it may be premature to ask our congressional delegation to comment this time, Commissioner. At least that's what I'm told. And so, but they are going to be premature.
I don't understand. I mean, if we can comment now, why can't they?
Well, if any of the congressional delegation would like to say something on behalf of Senator Isaacson or Senator Perdue or Buddy Carter,
I can only speak for Senator Isaacson's office, but we do work closely with both other offices. What I would say to you, sir, in terms of what we're looking at is you've taken official action today. We will carry that back, and we will work. We have representatives that we work with at EPA and DOJ, and we will start to game plan what we can best do to serve the community of Glynn County and Brunswick with this regard. So what I would say for our offices, this was the first step of hearing from the community with official action as both Glynn County and the city of Brunswick.
And who do you represent again?
Senator Isaacson, my name's Andrew Blaskovich.
Okay. Does the senator support our effort? Do you know that?
At this point, I do not know specifically. I don't want to put the senator on where he stands because I've not talked to him directly about this issue and with the language that you guys have passed today. So it's a very specific question to a very specific thing that we have to move forward with.
Well, I would like to find out if the senators and the congressmen support this effort individually. And that will let me know how hard the efforts will be going forward to try to get something done. I mean, I grew up 5 blocks from this place. My sister died from cancer. So this is personal for me. But so I would like to have an answer for them.
We will get you an answer.
Sam, anything?
I can echo what Andrew said. I haven't spoken to Senator Perdue personally. We've just received this information. I'd be happy to produce all of this to our office and let them be able to give us an answer so that I can give you one.
Well, obviously, this is his home.
Yes.
Too. And Emmett, anything from Congressman Carter? Ditto?
Yeah, just same thing. We'll
Okay.
pass it on to the legislative staff and try to push as hard as we can to try to help out.
Okay, thank you.
Be grateful to have a letter from each of them when they come to their decision.
Sure, that would be good. Putty,
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
I didn't recognize you,
I'm an
but
old professor, so I'll just leave you with this housing word. The Hercules plant is named after a Greek god. And one of the tasks, one of the works Hercules is most known for is he was given the assignment to clean out stables that had not been cleaned of their manure for hundreds of years. And one day he rerouted a river and flushed all the crap out. Apparently this does not resonate with,
Hopefully it's not big.
with this audience. That's what Hercules, the plant, has been trying to do for a long time, just to get the crap out.
thank you. Remember that I let you speak.
Thank you,
Would
sir.
you do that? For the good of the order. Thank you. Guys, senators, reps, Jeff?
I just texted William and told him that we'd keep his dad in our prayers, certainly, and ask him to forward me as soon as he can a copy of the letter he drafted.
I've got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Don and I can do the same thing without having to recreate. We'll get a letter similar exactly like Senator Hooligan's off as well.
Aaron's got the letter. I forwarded it to Aaron today, and so he's got the
We'll
letter.
get that done.
Guys, I think the community has spoken, at least a pretty good cross-section of it, have spoken loudly and have spoken strongly. The current proposal, I will say it again, is unacceptable. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, this rodeo's over, and we'll reconvene in about 30 minutes and for our normal work session meeting.